Hello, world. I am an artist who has achieved fame and monetary success from my art career, and you're probably wondering how I did it.
Oh, yes, I am, actually, very much.
I suppose you're wanting me to give you advice on how to follow in my footsteps.
Yes, that would be great.
Let me tell you the most important thing you can ever know to be successful in selling art.
Wow, this is exactly what I want to know.
Just keep going.
What?
Don't give up.
But what about the advice?
It will be difficult and you will cry, but just keep going. Thank you.
Just keep going? That doesn't mean anything. That's not advice.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
What is this? Why do people say this? This was a common answer I got when I asked for advice on pursuing art, and it made me kind of mad. I'd ask them, what do you mean by that? And they'd say something even more vague, like,
every path is different, and I can't tell you what will work for you.
So I promised myself that when I became an artist, I would figure out this mystery, and then I would come back and I would tell everybody what just keep going means. And I did it! I figured it out! I know what it means, so I'm gonna tell you because I got tired of hearing this and it was really frustrating. Success stories in creative work can be so dramatic, and I love it. I used to live in an Altoids tin and ate cotton balls for dinner, so if you're struggling, keep going. Ah, that's the part right there. People say this at the end of their story like it ties everything together, but it doesn't. It's not telling us anything. Here's what it really means. You have to try a lot of stuff for a lot of years and see what works. That's it. Oh, and also don't give up because it's going to be discouraging and really expensive. It's true. No one can tell you what will work for you specifically. You just have to find out for yourself by testing what works. I found the best way to trial something is just do it for real. If you want to know which prints will sell, make some and take them to a show and see what sells. This is where the expensive part comes in. It costs money to try things. It costs money to fail, and it costs time and sometimes happiness. But if you do this for long enough, you will build a career. Finding the intersection between art you like to make and art that people actually want to buy takes trial and error. So the more prolific you can be, the faster you're gonna figure all of this out. So if just keep going means you're supposed to be trying a ton of things, where do you even start? Well, I have some ideas for you. I have some things you can try. First off, you need to make a ton of work. You can't go into shows or see what sells if you don't have anything to sell. Just make a ton of work. My medium is easy in this aspect because I don't need a lot of equipment. My materials are cheaper than, say, someone who is a metalsmith. And if I mess up a painting, I can just paint over it. If your art is really expensive to make or it takes a long time, maybe you could do concept sketches, try to get an idea of what people like, what's working, and what's not. I know every medium is different and it's not going to be that easy for everyone to just make a ton of pieces. But something everyone can try, get your art in front of people. Social media is incredible for this. To think we live in a time where you can just post something and people will see it, even accidentally, that's incredible. They don't have to come to a studio, they don't have to come to a show, they might just stumble upon it. Think about if 3 people like a photo of something that you made. Imagine if 3 people just walked by while you were making it and said, hey, I like that. That is so cool. If you're making bad art right now, that's fine. It's part of the process. It'll get better. Just keep making it. It still applies. You want to still make as much as you can because you're going to get past that awkward stage faster. There's a great quote from Andy Warhol that I love so much. Don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they're deciding, make even more art. Don't let people's opinions slow you down. Take it into consideration, for sure, but keep making art as fast as you can. If you really love a series and people don't like it, it might be that they're just not your audience. If you really love what you're doing, then keep searching for your audience. There are tons of people out there that like the same stuff you do. With enough time, you will find them. Okay, so you have a bunch of art. You're posting it online. What's something else? I think you should try and create a website. There are even free ones out there that are great for that. Put up photos of your art and a little blurb about why you make it. You want to have a place you can send people who want to learn more. The more you post online, the more stuff will pop up when you search your name. Also, I'll be talking about this soon, but if you have never Googled your name, just do it. Just take a minute. It's good to know what comes up when you search your name. You can also make business cards. Yay! Put whatever you want on it. Your email, your website. I don't put a phone number on it because talking on the phone makes me nervous. I'll do it if I have to, but I tend to not want to. So I have my email, I have my website, I have my socials. Put all your contact stuff on there so people can get a hold of you. I like Moo for business cards because you can make the back different for every card. And I always tell people to pick their favorite out of the pile, and it's really fun that way because then they get to make a connection with it. I've seen a lot of ads recently dunking on business cards. Don't worry about that. People ask me for business cards all the time. I've noticed my art sells best in person. So how do you do that? How do you get your art physically in front of people? Do a search for local art events near you. For a few years, I couldn't get into any of the big art shows or even small ones because I didn't have a booth or a display and my art wasn't super cohesive yet. So I started out applying to farmers markets and small events with smaller booths that were a lot more informal. I didn't always fit in, and you won't always have people wanting to buy art at a farmer's market. I had a booth at a potato festival once. I didn't sell any paintings, and people seemed kind of confused why I was there at all. My dad claims it's because I didn't have any paintings of potatoes, but I'm not exactly sure that's why. But farmers markets are still a great place to start figuring out your booth, and if you want to do shows at all. You might get out in front of people and say, I don't like this, it's just not for me, I would rather sell online. Or like me, you might surprise yourself and say, whoa, I actually love talking to people and sharing art and discussing art. So you should try it, even if it's a small show, even if it's not totally art centered, just give it a try. And if you don't get into shows, keep applying. It can take 5 or 6 years, just keep doing it. There's some shows I got into one year and the next year I didn't. Just keep trying. You can also look for local coffee shops or breweries that have art hanging on the walls, and then ask them how to apply for the space. I love having art in locations like this because they're so real, and while people are just sipping coffee and hanging out with their friends, it's really easy to look at the art and imagine it in your own space where you'll be sipping coffee and hanging out with friends. So I think it's a really cool place for people to connect with art. Well, what else can you do? If you want to expand your art, make prints, make magnets, make t-shirts, put your art on posters or water bottles or keychains or pins. Try different designs, try different color combinations. And I know, this all costs money. Actually, it costs a lot of money. The first time I ordered prints, I ordered 6 because that's what I could afford. And then I sold those and I used that money to buy 10 prints. And then I sold those and I used that money to buy 15 prints, and on and on and on. Of course, it's easier if you just have a bunch of money and you can order a bunch of stuff, but if you don't, that's okay. Just start small. And if you want to know where I get all my money to try things like this, I made a whole video about that you should check out. Something else you can do is try commissions. You might not like it. You might totally love it. I would argue that commissions are the fastest way to making consistent money as an artist. People love seeing their ideas come to life. It really is an incredible thing, and it's a whole skill unto itself, doing commissions. I really admire people who can do that. I spent a year just throwing spaghetti at a wall. Not literally, but I set aside a year. I made a list of a ton of things I could try, and I just went wild with it. Most of it was a huge failure, just bad. Try to keep moving so fast that failures don't get you down, because by the time it flops, you're already on to the next thing. If you get your art printed onto a water bottle and no one buys it, just give it to your mom for Christmas. She'll love it. Or give it to my mom, and then just move on to the next thing. Oh, also something else I'll highly recommend. Get a few people who can be completely honest with you. And just let them talk about your art. I have a couple people I send pictures of paintings to, and sometimes I make a painting and it's not working. Maybe the composition is wrong or the colors got away from me, and they'll just tell me straight up that it's bad. And then I can move on to a different one, and it saves me a lot of time. A lot of people, if you ask, they're going to be so kind. They're going to be so encouraging. They're going to point out the things they like. But if you can get people who you've asked to be totally honest, send them a picture and they just go, and then you can just keep moving, and it really does speed things up. If you need encouragement, don't worry. You will get it. Your art will grow and people will connect with it in time. It all takes time. It's so annoying, I know. If you really need a pep talk, you can get on YouTube, search inspirational videos. They're always black and white, and it's people lifting weights in a gym, all sweaty, and the lighting is really dim, and it's somebody yelling about how you can do it.
It's only a thought if you don't take an action.
That can really help if you're having a bad day. Encouragement feels great, but it won't help you make decisions. So I think it's most important to have people who can just be honest with you. And it's okay if it hurts your feelings. You don't have to be thick-skinned. If you made something you really love and people say it's bad, you could be sad about that. Be bummed out. It's okay. Some paintings I made that I considered to be my best work never sold. Nobody liked them. It's fine. Some paintings, they're just for me and I will love them forever. But if you make something bad and they tell you it's bad, after you're done crying about it, you can go make another one and then maybe they'll like that one. Besides talking to friends, talk to other artists. Most of the time, they will be so happy to answer questions for you. A great time to do this is at art shows and events. If there's a lull and there's no one at their booth, go ask them questions. Make sure you're not blocking traffic or distracting people from sales, but if they're just standing there, go talk to them. They'd love to talk to you. Of course, be kind and be respectful of people's time, but if you see someone post a photo and you want to know where they get their prints made, just ask them. Do not feel bad about where you are in your career. That was so aggressive, but I mean it. You have no idea what other people are doing. They have no idea what you're doing. Comparing is just a mess. Don't do it. I saw a very talented artist skyrocket to fame in the last few years, and my very first thought was, oh, I bet her parents paid for her degree, so she didn't have to work and she had a ton of time to just paint. Nope, that wasn't it at all. I listened to a podcast where she was interviewed and she talked about how she worked very hard to get where she was, completely all by herself. People just connected with her message and they loved her beautiful work, and she just did really, really well, really, really fast. And it made me feel bad for just making that assumption about her because I know nothing about her. Some people just do well all on their own and they make faster progress, and it doesn't mean that you are doing anything wrong. And some people do get outside help to have a jump start on their career, and that's awesome. It makes me really sad when people feel like they have to hide that. It's okay to get help. Your journey doesn't have to be heartbreaking to be credible. This isn't America's Got Talent. Your progress might take longer than somebody else, but if your art isn't very physical, you can get older and older and your art's just gonna get better and better with time. I can't speak for everyone because I don't know what kind of art you're making, but for me in general, it doesn't matter what age I am. My art's just gonna get better and better with time. So that's something that helps me a lot when I feel like I'm not moving fast enough. I really have my whole life to get it right. And don't do that whole thing where you start to think, oh, if I just worked harder or did more, spent more time in the studio, I'd be farther, I'd be happier. No, just do your best, okay? You are doing fine. Try a lot of different things. Make as much art as you possibly can. Get your art out in front of people. Don't use other people's careers to gauge how yours is going. It won't teach you anything. It will only distract you. Ask some honest friends where your art could use improvement. Talk to other artists. See what they're doing. Just do what you can. It's gonna work out. And remember, just keep going. Thank you. Thank you.